Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to this game in the AMX M4 45 Tier 7 French heavy tank. Now, in a comment to one of my recent videos, a video about the IS-6, someone asked a couple of questions about this. Basically, is this thing any good? Coincidentally, I think that day or possibly the next day, I finally unlocked the top turret on this machine, which allowed me to mount the top turret and the top gun, the long 90mm. And the first game I had in that configuration, which is this game, was a game that I wanted to put on YouTube. But not because of the machine I was driving. I want to illustrate something with this replay. So, this is an assault game on the Siegfried line. We're on the defending team. Now, someone on the enemy team obviously has XVM or some such mod installed, because they just said that they have a 15% chance of winning, and it's barely even bothering. So with this video, I would like to illustrate 2 points. The first of which is that even if XVM tells you you have a bad chance of winning, don't give up. This game, I'm not going to tell you the result, but this game is very, very close, despite the fact that XVM thinks they have a 15% chance of winning. Now, it's also worth thinking about what that means. What does you have a 15% chance of winning actually mean? Does it mean that you are not going to win and that it is a waste of time you taking part? No. What it means is that if you play 100 games, you could expect to win about 15 of them, with these teams, these tanks, this setup, sort of thing. Okay, well, how else would you put that? Okay, well, approximately, that means that if you were to do this, to play this game 10 times, you would expect to win between 1 or 2 of them. And you might say, well, that's a terrible ratio, why would you even bother? Well, how about if I rephrased it? If I told you that when you left the house in the morning, there was a 1 in 10 chance that you would drop dead, you would suddenly become very paranoid about leaving the house in the morning, wouldn't you? So, that sort of probability is not negligible, and it's certainly not something that you should just give up over. So that's the first thing that I wanted to make very clear, because this is a very close game. So far, it's 3-3. About 2.5 minutes of the game are over, and I take a complete snapshot there, and one of the nice things about this tank has the long 90mm gun, which means it gets 212mm of penetration, so you can do that. That shot just sailed straight through the front of that guy's turret. This is a very punchy gun. And I must admit, I will do a review of this at some point. I mean, it won't be anywhere, it won't be anytime soon, but at some point I will do a review of this. And I really struggled with it until unlocking this gun. And I really think this gun is most definitely the best gun to use on this. And also another thing worth saying is that the penetration on this gun is so high. I mean, 212 at tier 7. I don't bother loading any premium ammunition on this tank. It seems like a waste of time. I do, however, keep some high explosive lying around. Now, this is another thing I've noticed some people do. Often people will ignore high explosive rounds, and I think that's a shame. It's always worth carrying a couple. Firstly, because it means that you can have a much better chance of resetting a capture point if you need to, because high explosive ammunition will almost always do at least some damage. It may not be much, and it may only be tracking someone, but that's enough to get a reset on a capture point. And also because some opponents you come across are very lightly armoured, you know, like a lot of the new German tank destroyers or things like the Hellcat. And so being able to do that additional damage with high explosive is quite useful. Anyway, I've rambled on about that sort of stuff long enough. So what we have here, we are 8-9 down, and they are basically taking control of the town. Most of our team went north, like I did, which left the south poorly defended, and they've just come in and kind of overrun. And someone is currently, in fact, there were 2 people there sitting in our capture circle, and one of them has driven out. Which is interesting. And there's a Panzer IVS going, you know, everyone get into the city, and yeah, you know, fair enough. City fights are not this tank's natural environment, but we really do need to do something about this. This is problematic. Now this is one of the more mobile heavy tanks, and so what I'm actually going to do is go around here. I do not have the top engine on this thing yet. I think I've got the second engine. And you can see that cap counter's reached... Oh, someone's saying, oh my god, AMX, go, you are full. I assume he's commenting on the fact that I have full health, and it's true, I do. Because I've been quite cautious with this tank, because I know how fragile it is. So we were winning 9-12 for a moment. I finish off the ELC AMX to make it 10-12. And my priority at the moment is to get back to the capture circle, get back to our base, and reset it. At the moment we've got about 25 seconds before we lose. So I come out around here, I want this guy to show himself, he does. I aim at the track, I am not trying to do any hit point damage. Oh, he tracked me, and I repair it to get out of the way. I was not trying to do any hit point damage there, I was just trying to damage his track to guarantee that the capture point, the cap counter, got reset, which buys us an extra minute and a half. So, in the meantime, our Tiger and SU have done a decent job of polishing off a couple of their tanks. And what I would like to do in the 90 seconds, well 60 seconds now that reset's given us, is see if our team can polish off the guys outside of the capture point. We know the Black Prince is in the capture point, so there's one guy down. There's a Nashorn around here, so I load high explosive because the armour of a Nashorn is very, very bad, especially if you choose your shot carefully. That means that with the high explosive ammunition from this gun, I go from doing 240 average damage with a penetration to 320. Of course, the penetration is the penetration of the shell is much lower. So I take a shot into the rear of the Nashorn there for 369, and our SU-100 polishes him off. We've lost our Tiger P along the way, so it's just me and a low health SU-100, well, on about third health, versus a Black Prince. Now I do not want this SU-100 to try and tackle the Black Prince alone, but it looks like he's going to, and maybe I should have said don't go alone or something, but I didn't. He gets a reset off, I decide to load high explosive, and then the Black Prince nails our SU. Now, this is a slightly dicey situation. It really, really is. And there's the guy. So I put a shot. No, that shot misses. And I'm coming around here and I'm very nervous about taking this guy on because he's on almost full health. Ooh, and that one goes into his track, which resets the cap counter, but I don't have my repair kit left. It resets the cap counter, but frankly, I'm taking a lot of pain. I was annoyed that it didn't do any actual damage. And there we go, I get a shot into him. He's now on 74% health. Now, I'm just going to pause it. So, we find ourselves here in a dubious situation. The AMX that I'm driving has very bad armour, and you'll notice that basically that Black Prince was penetrating me with every shot. A couple of the shots went into the tracks or something instead, but he was basically penetrating me with every shot. Now the Black Prince has 1450 health to start with. I have 1200, so he has an extra 250 health over me to start with. He has had the better of that engagement, so I am currently on about half health. He has something of the order of 60-70% of his health left. The problem I have is that in a straight up head-to-head fight, the Black Prince will win. My armour is so bad, and the Black Prince has good armour from the front, that I would have to pick my shots with care, and he can just pretty much blaze away at my tank and penetrate everything. So in a stand-up fight, I will lose. So bear that in mind. So what am I doing? Well, I'm thinking here, and I'm wondering what to do. Now, remember that I said in a stand-up fight, the AMX is going to lose. So it's at this point that I started running through my head, well, what is it that I actually need to do? I need to win this game. Do I need to kill the Black Prince in order to win this game? No, I don't. This is an assault game and I'm on the defending team. All I have to do to win this game is A, survive, and B, make sure that he does not cap our base. It's at this point I switch to the high explosive ammunition. My goal is to let the capture counter go up enough that I can put one high explosive shot into this guy, get some damage on him, reset the capture counter. There's my high explosive shot for 36. He hits a pillar instead of hitting me, which is nice. I've reset the capture counter. It takes 1 minute and 30 seconds to capture a base on your own, unless you're in encounter, which takes longer. He needs 70 seconds now to win this game. He only has 55. And so I say, we win. And the SU-100 realises it as well. This is a point I wanted to make. It's about thinking about what you actually need to do. I imagine a lot of players would have just tried to rush around the corner and tried to kill him, or possibly just tried to poke him, trying to use their higher alpha damage to just trade one shot for one shot. But I don't need to do that to win. And I will have warning. Okay, so now, this guy, to win, has to come and kill me. He does not have time to capture our base. But I will have warning if he does that, because in order to do that, he needs to drive out of the capture point. And so if that capture counter goes down to 0, he's coming after me, and I have some warning of that. I've still got high explosive loaded at this point. I probably should load some armor piercing just in case, but there's only 4 seconds left with 1. 1-0 victory. Now this, I don't light up the scoreboard and do amazingly well in the AMX. It's only a 3rd class mastery badge, but I also get a defender and I think like 180 base defense points. But I wanted to include this replay because it just shows what you can do when you take a moment to think about what you have to do to win. You do not have to kill every enemy tank in order to win. And you get people on teams and they will say, no cap, kill all, or they'll just cap regardless of what's happening. And they're just not necessarily engaging their brain. There is a time and a place for capturing the enemy base. There is a time and a place for defending your own base. There is a time and a place for trying to kill every last tank on the enemy team. And there's a time and a place for not doing that. And in that situation, trying to kill that Black Prince would have been very risky. The safest option, the option that got us the win there, was to do what I just did. Now there was a risk involved. If one of the he fired a shot or 2 at me while I was exposed, trying to reset him, and he ended up hitting a pillar that was in front of him. If he'd hit me and tracked me, that was a problem. I don't have a repair kit, and potentially he reloads before my crew would repair the track. Maybe I'd repair the track first, I'm not sure, but that was a bit of a risk. But as it is, I managed to reset their base, and I won the game for our team, in the end, when it came down to it. Huzzah! Success. And also it was an outing in a tank that I haven't shown before, so that's nice. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. I hope you found it slightly informative. As I say, that really was not about the tank I was driving, it was just about what happened. If you did find it useful or you enjoyed it, please feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel. And I wish you happy hunting on that battlefield, and remember just to take a moment and think about what you're doing. Ciao ciao.